Okay, well, anyway, let's go to this article in the information. Salesforce in talks with Microsoft, Oracle, and Google about cloud deal to handle AI. Salesforce Mark Benioff has long been a vocal critic of Microsoft. A couple years ago, he accused the company of violating antitrust laws and how it sells software bundles. More recently, he slammed its artificial intelligence chatbot for giving inaccurate responses and being difficult to use. I think he dropped Clippy as a pejorative. It got spicy. I think it was in Aspen or Sun Valley. It was an iconic moment. But that history hasn't stopped Salesforce from including Microsoft in negotiations it's having with several cloud providers, also including Google and Oracle, about a major new cloud agreement. The deal is likely to be worth more than $1 billion over several years, said a Salesforce manager with direct knowledge of the deal. And so here's the takeaway. Salesforce is in talk with Google, Microsoft, and Oracle for a big cloud deal because they need AI inference, of course. The deal could be worth more than $1 billion over several years. And they're currently on AWS, but they're bidding it out, according to this reporting. But we'll see what Benioff has to say. Salesforce wants to rent the servers to run its customer management, AI agents, and other applications, a sign of how new AI products are expanding Salesforce's computing needs. So obviously, Salesforce is stuffing AI in every single product they own. They need inference and they need more servers. So they're going to the hyperscalers and they're bidding it out, allegedly. Salesforce already uses AWS in addition to Google Cloud and its own data centers. So we don't know who's emerging as the favorite to win. He also didn't specify the size and scope of the agreement. A Salesforce spokesperson declined to comment, but the agreement will be in the same range as Salesforce's past agreements with AWS. The negotiations, which haven't previously been reported, signal Salesforce's shift to public cloud providers for more of its computing needs. They're getting out of the data center building business, more or less. That's the shtick here. Salesforce has told customers that eventually it will sell its applications through all major cloud providers. AWS didn't comment. Oracle didn't comment. Google didn't comment. No one's talking to the information.
No one's commenting.
And
the information is commenting, though.
The information is commenting.
Didn't stop them.
And we'll go to Mark Benioff because as soon as this dropped, he said, the story in the information is incorrect. In 2024, Salesforce explored a fourth deployment option for our customers alongside our existing choices, proprietary data centers, AWS, and Alibaba Cloud. Last year, we decided to extend our partnership with Google, giving customers the option to deploy Salesforce customers 360 apps, Hyperforce, Agentforce, and Data Cloud on Google's platform in future Salesforce releases. So he's coming out and saying, hey, I'm not rugging AWS. I'm expanding. I'm not switching.
Yeah.
And
I mean, some of these quotes are just damning. I mean, he's saying Clippy was a disaster. Copilot is a gimmick.
Yep.
He's saying, I think this Copilot thing has been a huge disaster for them. So he's just publicly dragging them.
So what's going on here? It seems like the information is trying to, sow a little
and
chaos.
Over at Microsoft, Frank Shaw says, Mark has no idea what he's talking about. This is 2025.
I love this.
Right after he says, I think this Copilot thing has been a disaster.
Yep.
And Charles, who's over at Microsoft, says, one of the execs there working on Copilot, he says, this is a big moment for Salesforce because CRM is not going to be the future for customers.
Brutal.
It's going to be the strategic imperative for customers. I think that's why you see Salesforce taking jabs at Copilot, because that pressure is very real and it's here. So that was just this month in February 2025.
So they're going back and
forth, not mincing words. We called that we need to get people in tech need to get more fired up, combative,
yeah,
right?
More physical altercations.
Yeah,
I want to see. Oh, Mark Benioff and Satya Nadella were leaving the club after an altercation. The shirt ripped.
And honestly, if you're a Senti, one of the best things you can do is go prison mode and take shots at the big dog, right? Go take shots at Benioff.
Yeah,
right?
This is like the East Coast West Coast rap battle.
Say, hey,
everyone
the lineup
wins.
This year at Dreamforce sucks.
Slop. You should call it Dream Slop.
This wouldn't even be on the, this wouldn't be on, what are some of I haven't been to Coachella in so long, I forget about their feeder
the side stages.
This wouldn't even hit the side stage at 12 noon on Friday at Coachella.
Yeah.
This doesn't even make,
this is garbage.
The Do Lab. It's not going on the Do Lab.
I don't even know what that is, but I get it from context.
You've never been to Coachella?
I've never been to Coachella.
Wow.
I've been to Outside Lands and maybe a few others, but I'm not a big festival guy.
Sometime I'll have to talk about I've been to both weekends of Coachella in the same year.
Oof, dusty.
Which is dusty.
Dusty.
That actually kicked off my original fitness arc.
Oh, okay.
That was the catalyst.
That's good. Yeah. I think we did mention that at one point. And so, the information is sowing seeds of dissent between the hyperscalers. I'd love to see it. There's a Hyperforce rewrite going on. This is interesting. Salesforce has already rewritten the code for its applications, databases, and other operating systems to run on AWS services in a project called Hyperforce. The AWS version of Salesforce's applications became available in 2020. Salesforce intends to make the same applications available on whichever cloud provider it picks in the current negotiations. While Salesforce incurred a significant upfront expense in developing Hyperforce, making it available on another cloud wouldn't be as costly, since roughly 80 to 90% of its code built for AWS would run on other providers. Interesting. So customers of Salesforce want to run on their own clouds. Salesforce needs to do deals to make those clouds happy and get them going. And Benioff wants to keep everyone happy and wants to be able to play all of the different hyperscalers against each other without.
I mean, you can do that if you're throwing
off.
billions of dollars around. Every single one of these hyperscalers has like a sales team dedicated to Salesforce.
Yeah.
And they're trying to win said business.
Yeah.
But there's binaire on binaire.
But he has been negging Microsoft a lot. And so that's got to make that negotiation harder. And they also have the most competitive products. So doing a deal to
what's Microsoft's CRM product? Do they have?
I mean, they have a product
Excel.
for everything.
Excel.
I guess Excel, but they have a things.
So Microsoft Dynamics 365 is their CRM.
I mean, I think the big war is, Slack versus Teams. Teams really crushed Slack, and I don't know how you would value Slack as an independent company now post acquisition, but Salesforce bought Slack, and whether or not that was a good deal for Salesforce kind of depends on Teams execution. And Teams has become really popular because it's bundled with like the Microsoft Office that goes into like so many different companies. Well, speaking of software to help you run your business, this show is, of course, supported by Ramp, our good buddies over at Ramp. Time is money, save both, easy to use corporate cards, bill payments, accounting, and a whole lot more all in one place.
I'm going to give you an example. So we launched PMF or Die on Monday.
Yep.
And turns out running a 24/7 live stream with multiple camera feeds, multiple audio feeds, hundreds of concurrent viewers streaming on multiple platforms. Very hard. We had to tap in a guy named Sam Sheffer.
This is very
who was
cool.
at Humane. He was at Humane on Monday. Humane gets acquired by HP. He decides, I'm not going to go into the AI printer business, even though we've talked about this. We want a better printer.
I'm excited for better printers.
But so I talked to Sam this morning I was driving to work. It was 5:30 a.m.
Yep.
And so he's coming online. He's on the East Coast. Tyler Gold introduced me.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, like you got to help us out. Like we need to level this up. Like we've got all these viewers. Like I think PMF or Die has product market fit in the sense that like viewers are super excited about it. Sam's like, I'm down. I got to go pick up basically like my exit package. But after that, I'll go. And so he rolled into the PMF or Die stream today. And right as he was headed over there, I just made him a card on Ramp. And I was like, if you need to buy any supplies.
Do it here.
And so he gets the invite, downloads the app, adds it to Apple Pay, and he can now buy products on our Ramp account. That's even amazing. Though he's like a contractor, right? So that level, like that used to be like so annoying of like, okay, totally. Go and get the receipts and we'll reimburse you or we'll pay you. So just so fantastic. And Ramp gets it done. Let's go to
the timeline. I want to do this Eric Stromberg post on boot scaling. I thought this was interesting. You flagged this. He writes a little screenshot essay. Eric, if you don't know him, he was at Bedrock with Jeff Lewis, absolute dog of a capital allocator. And Eric writes, traditionally startups raise millions of dollars to start and hundreds to scale. Today, AI is giving everyone an army of agents to design, engineer, and build on their behalf. Perhaps AI will deliver so much leverage that founders will raise only one round and be done. Profits will fund from there. This is a comforting idea for seed VCs, but not right. If you can reach 1 million of ARR in 90 days from an apartment, why raise seed money? Instead, I expect a different strategy to grow, boot scaling. Founders will bootstrap at the start, leveraging near zero cost of experimentation. They'll only raise after achieving product market fit and building conviction in a venture scale business. At that point, they'll use capital to scale distribution. Boot scaling allows founders to avoid early dilution while later securing capital to win versus well-funded competitors. A prior generation has proven this model works, and he flags a few here. Atlassian, founded in 2002. They first raised money in 2010. They raised 60 million. Qualtrics, founded in 2002. They first raised in 2012 for 70 million. GitHub, founded in 2007, first raised in 2012. 1Password, founded in 2005. They raised in 2019. Unity, they started in 2004. They didn't raise until 2009. And so a lot of these companies that build for a long time independently, and then they start doing the growth rounds while skipping those early seed Series A rounds. This shift will reshape the landscape of seed VC. Those stuck in existing structures and clinging to old assumptions will lose to those who adapt. So break it down. What do you think about that? I thought that was an interesting post.
So I mean, the obvious example here is PMF or Die. Blake came out, built a few sort of these like AI native apps, like generated so much revenue that he's now building his 4th app in like 2 years, which he's announcing on PMF or Die tonight. And he did not want to raise money at all for this business because he's like, I have the cash. I don't really need to spend that much money. I have like the equivalent, like just by using Cursor and some of these other AI tools, I have the equivalent of like a bunch of developers that are on demand. And so he's very ambitious with this next business. Like he wants to, I'll let him announce it tonight, but it could easily be a multi-billion-dollar company. He will get to the point where, he could say, I'm going to raise like $20 million at a 200 post and sell 10% of the company. But it's very possible we're going to see a lot more of these businesses that just basically never raise, right? That's not necessarily like the good thing for VCs is there's still plenty of businesses. It actually frees up capital for VCs to invest in these sort of CapEx intensive businesses. Defense tech is a good example.
Foundation model companies too.
The foundation models.
AI is bifurcated. It's like the consumer app companies that are building AI companies need no money to start, and then they need money to scale distribution. And then the foundation model companies need $1 billion up front to do the training run. And then once they have it, they've kind of cornered the market and they have the commodity, and then they can just sell it.
Yeah, and so I see more rounds happening where it's like kind of these YC style rounds where it's like, hey, we need 500K so like if you're working somewhere and you want to quit your job and still be able to have like decent health insurance maybe, but it's really more so these companies across the board are just getting way less, capital intensive. And then simultaneously attention is free now if you understand algorithmic feeds, right? Like PMF or Die, another good example. We spent $3,000 producing the video. It should have like 1 million views at this point, right?
Super high leverage. And so, if you're a seed VC, how does that change your strategy? Do you need to go and convince someone who doesn't really need money just to get you like a little allocation? Maybe you're the only person you're putting in, maybe the initial dilution is 1%, but you got your 1%, like you're an angel in a larger round, but there just isn't that lead anymore. Or are you just out of the game and focusing on growth fundraising?
Yeah, I mean, VCs will still have the opportunity, basically say, sell 10% of your company to me because like I'm going to go to bat and help you win, right? With distribution on X, LinkedIn, et cetera. Those are maybe tougher sells right now, but that's why YC's product, which is you have to figure out what product to make and you have to make your product, but we are going to help you figure out how to make a company, which is really the product of YC. And
also the pressure cooker.
And the pressure cooker.
The value of YC is you're sitting there listening to some generational entrepreneur, Mark Zuckerberg's on stage, and you look over and the guy next to you is coding on the laptop and you're like, I should go ship a feature right now. Like people are grinding. And that pressure of seeing everyone else, all your competition move super fast makes you want to move faster. So YC has a bunch of interesting value adds that don't really come in the form of just the money. It's fascinating.